Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of GnWC Weekly. I'm the Duke, and I'm joined by my good buddy,
your air conditioner repairman.
Haha.
If you need an air conditioner installed in your window and you don't care if it flies out and damages your cars, you can call me.
Or someone's face.
1-800 AC.
That would
man.
be bad.
Yeah, well, listen, I never want an air conditioner falling on top of me when I'm outside either.
Yeah, I know.
But the one thing I am concerned about is there is an area underneath my window that's like an overhang in front of the garage. That's the other side of the co-op house, and people do sit underneath there.
Oh, so, no!
Yeah, no, that's gonna be a great story.
You gotta fix this. I don't want you recording from jail.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, and we were talking about this a little bit off stream. So if anybody's catching up, I put in a window an air conditioner and it may fall out. There's your recap. But like, other than taking the air conditioner and shaking it with my hands until it falls out the window, I don't know what the best way to test like the stability of it is. But you know, never mind that. Let's get right into the busy pay-per-view weekend here. Hey, listen, I forgot to mention this last week, and I know you'll get a kick out of it.
Okay.
You know what was something ironic last week about Raw? Not last week as in the one we're going to recap in a little bit, but the one before that.
What you got?
The Hardy match was a sponsored match for some pharmaceutical company with an owl as its logo.
Right.
And I totally forgot to mention that because that was hysterical to me.
And apparently Matt Hardy like said some stuff on Twitter about it.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, like he kept saying something about it was almost like half broken what he was doing.
Right.
Like he was sort of doing a little bit of his broken stuff, talking about the owl would not overcome him or something like that. I'll have to find it again. It was pretty funny, and I didn't really like until you just said that. I didn't realize the relevance of it, and so yeah, it's pretty funny.
Dude, watching Raw, I'm like, I've got to mention that, and as soon as we ended the show, I'm like, I forgot to mention that. But I actually watched Super Card of Honor 11, 12 or something like that. 11, I think it was. The Ring of Honor pay-per-view that happened 2 days before WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And that featured the Hardys and the Young Bucks in a ladder match for the Ring of Honor tag team titles.
Yes.
My God, top to bottom, that show was amazing. They had Cody,
I've heard it was really, really super, super good.
Cody Rhodes versus Jay Lethal in a bull rope match was pretty good. Even, you know, they had a international match with Dragon Lee and Jay White versus I forget the guy's name from CMLL. But Ospreay was also on the team. That was amazing, as you can imagine, just flip-flops and all sorts of stuff all over the place. I mean, like, I can't even describe it. Like, it's so good. Ring of Honor is so good. Their only problems are their TV show is never up to date because I guess they always want people to go to their website for content, to watch it and for revenue and stuff like that, and I kind of get that. And the other thing is, people use that as a stepping stone to somewhere else. So you can never really build an established storyline because come 3 months later, when it's the next pay-per-view time, WWE may have called and they're on their way to the Performance Center. So like you have to scrap the storyline, just forget about it, kind of stuff like that, which is kind of sucks. But man, it was so good. I recommend anybody who hasn't seen it to find the way to watch it, ringofhonorwrestling.com or whatever. But how about we talk about the WWE happenings of this week going into the Payback pay-per-view?
Actually, I want to derail us just very, very shortly.
I did not click the slide, so you're allowed to derail.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So this won't take long. And I should have told you to prepare a slide for this. I sent you a message about it, but I sent it earlier today, which was probably after you had already prepared slides. So cool thing going on. This is like so fitting for our show for us to at least mention it, if not maybe watch it and give our feedback on it. But House of Pain, spelled Haus, House of Pain. It's with the Funhouse crew. Is that their name? Yeah, I think so. The Funhouse crew, which is now under the conglomerate known as Rooster Teeth. The guys behind Red versus Blue and all kinds of, and Achievement Hunter, all this video game related stuff. Holy crap, we're talking about video games on the Game and Wrestling Connection. But The Funhouse team have started this new show for people who are sponsors to Rooster Teeth, and I don't know what the going rate for that is these days. It used to be like $10 every 6 months, so it was like a ridiculously good deal to get, exclusive videos and stuff like that. But if you're a sponsor over on Rooster Teeth, or they call the service now First, being a sponsor or a subscriber, they call it First. If you subscribe to First, then you get House of Pain, and House of Pain is a couple of the guys from the Funhouse team learning to be professional wrestlers. And it's their dream to become professional wrestlers. And so it always has been, even though they've been sort of video game sort of commentary type guys for the longest time now. And so it is documenting their journey of becoming professional wrestlers. And the most recent thing I've seen about it features none other than John Hennigan, aka Johnny Mundo, or John Morrison, or whatever you want to call him. Johnny Nitro. There you go. It features him teaching them about the posture of their character when they're in the ring, and talking about their progress so far, and kind of wishing them well on their journey, and giving them pointers here and there. So it's pretty cool. Actually, someone notable in the wrestling world, in the wrestling genre, is actually taking part in this. So maybe something worth checking out. House of Pain.
Do you consider Johnny Mundo like one of those guys, take away wrestlers that are in the big North American 3 or New Japan Pro Wrestling? Do you think Johnny Mundo is one of those guys who's probably top on the list of guys who's left WWE, but probably has the most superstar power of those like still active and as a wrestler?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's I would say he's instant main event if he ever came back to WWE. If all the burned bridges and all the bad blood was sorted out.
I could see right now are like, we're about CM Punk, you stupid idiot. But
yeah, whatever.
But I'm just okay. Punk's in UFC, let's say, and he's not a part of this conversation. But I feel like he's a guy who can step right in and main event, or even top, go right for the mid card titles and just take it first day and run with it in a Yeah, I could see him. I could see him being a successful version of what they tried to do with Del Rio when they brought him back. Yeah,
like a guy that just comes in, wins a title, and just has a stranglehold on it for a year. Whether he's heel or face, he's the guy that keeps that keeps it going, and he's really his acting chops has developed as he's now he's got this film that he's in, Boone the Bounty Hunter, and of course the sort of telenovela aspect of Lucha Underground. He's had to have some chops for that, and he's been pretty cool in that too. So yeah, I really see him as instant main eventer, or at least as upper mid card as possible, and moving to the main event very quickly. If he were to ever come back to WWE, and it's not even a stretch to imagine that.
No, and it's not even a rumor or a blip on the radar. I just somehow feel when you said his name, I'm like, my God, this guy might be probably the best of the best out there, who's been in the company, left the company, and still stands a chance to come back, kind of deal. How about we continue?
But we can move into the real deal. Sorry.
Yeah, we can go into a little bit of SmackDown Live now. We'll save Raw for just before we do the Payback, since it kind of ties in and all that kind of stuff. But
sounds good.
We'll do a little hits and misses on SmackDown. And I really want to mention that the main event of Naomi versus Charlotte kind of felt like one of those things, like, we're going to make Charlotte the main event of SmackDown just so we can quote a fact thereafter of she's the only woman to ever main event Raw and SmackDown kind of thing, and always setting barriers and records and stuff like that. I was not displeased with the outcome, because that's something we wanted last week, where the welcoming committee of Natalya,
Right.
Carmella, Tamina, and James Ellsworth kind of attacked both the wrestlers. And lo and behold, here's our faction. And we've been clamoring for a faction for several weeks over, and this one has been there, and we're just like, I don't know if it's like they're the women, it doesn't matter, so we're not even going to consider it. But it's there, and it was kind of cool. Yeah, they just took down heel and face. They don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're the big bad, which is fine. I mean, which is good. That you need that. You need something. I mean, this is akin to. I mean, it's on a totally different level and on a totally. It has a totally different feel to it, but it's akin to the Authors of Pain with the Takeover match recently, where I made the whole good guys, bad guys, and big bad comic book analogy to that match, and that's kind of how it came out, where you had the good guys and bad guys who essentially had to become allies, at least temporarily, to overcome this big bad. And I like that, and I like that they're doing it with the women, especially since factions have just been something that's taboo for some reason. Factions and managers and blood are the most taboo things in WWE wrestling, and it's nice to see the resurgence of it in some way. I feel like it could be a little more cohesive, so maybe we'll see that. But we'll see. I like that they sort of have a name too. I like the welcoming committee as their name, and I would really like it if they would have a new girl show up next week, and even if it's just going to be, she's a local or something like that, and maybe have her do really, really, really well in a match against, I don't know, Becky Lynch or something, and have the welcoming committee come out and welcome her to the show and ruin the match again. I would like that. I would like that.
Or they can just have two local women wrestling and be like, what's going on? And then they can do like a 2-minute warning thing where James Ellsworth comes out and just starts, instead of Bischoff, and starts mocking the girls in the ring, and here's your welcome committee, and all of a sudden they hit the ring. It'd be like,
I don't know. I think they get over if you do that, though. They're not bad guys anymore. I think they're instantly not bad guys if they do that.
Yeah,
I think it needs to be they ruin a match with someone like Becky Lynch, someone that everybody loves.
They should just ruin a Ty Dillinger match.
That makes no sense.
It doesn't matter, but now the fans would be pissed at him.
Oh, everybody would be. Yeah, that would be true heat. That would be true heat.
Well, there you go.
Because he can't touch them. That makes it even worse.
Yeah.
You're right.
Well, I mean, on the same sort of like, wow, Smackdown, like, stuff happened, and I kind of misled you before when I said that I didn't watch most of Smackdown. I think I was thinking of Raw, because we had Jinder Mahal actually beat down Randy Orton, and we had Breezango winning the Beat the Clock challenge.
Freaking Breezango! That was amazing. I was like, man, this is the first Beat the Clock match, the one setting the time. I'm like, this is an awfully long match, especially with American Alpha, who, they like the Usos turned heel off the backs of a 10-second match or whatever it was, some ridiculously fast match. And so I thought the story was going to be they're so good that they've made an unbeatable time, and sure enough, we were going to have the typical letdown of the Beat the Clock challenge, where it's just like, man, that is just talk about just taking the wind out of everybody's sails and just deflating a crowd. Oh, that they didn't do it, and there's like there's supposed to be drama there, but it never turns out that way. It just turns out as, well, I guess they just leave now. But this was totally different. So
I actually thought the Beat the Clock challenge in the beginning was for American Alpha and the clones. Like, American Alpha would fight probably Breezango.
I did too.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, they're like, why would the other teams even have a chance? And then I saw they win the match together. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, this is okay. So this is match one.
I'm like, then I saw Breezango and Ascension. I'm like, all right, here we go.
Yeah. They're going to take this is really what I thought was going to happen. I thought that they were going to actually have a real match, and they were just going to they were going to announce that the clock or whatever, or that the time had expired, and they were just going to keep having a match and have have like a really cool, good match that was like a showcase of those two teams to sort of lead to something down the road. But they did something I definitely wasn't expecting.
So your number one contenders,
win.
Your number one contenders are Jinder Mahal and Breezango for titles.
I mean, does it get much more new blood than that?
But I mean, WWE doesn't do anything different, man.
Yeah,
a couple times a year they do, and this is one of them. So we'll
Yeah.
call back on that. Hey, Seth Rollins came out in Money in the Bank and won the championship at WrestleMania. Remember that time?
Yeah.
Nothing happened.
I feel like that happened. All those young guys that don't get a shot.
Yeah. And then we had promos for Rusev looking for a championship match at Money in the Bank, and Lana doing the whole dancing thing. And, like, I don't know.
I'm not sure what the deal with them being promoted separately is. That's kind of odd.
And they're on the same show. It's kind of like
Right.
if they split them up,
and they're actually married, and they've always been together except for the one little love triangle stint. So it's like, it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can separate the Lana from the Rusev, and I don't know if Lana and Rusev ever got a real fair shake in the WWE. Like, there were moments, and then they did that stupid storyline with Dolph Ziggler and Summer Rae, and then there were moments again. But like,
I mean, the best thing they had going was with Cena. So everyone hate on Cena all you want, but the best run Rusev has had so far was he and Cena for months leading up to him on a tank at WrestleMania. Yes, he lost, but still.
But it seemed like, submissive Rusev to dominant Lana, whatever the relationship was like the best thing that they did, where she'd bark commands and him, like the animal, would just,
yeah, he was just the monster.
Yeah. Kind of like Kamala and Kimchi. Kimchi would do all the managing from the outside, and Kamala would only do what he said, kind of stuff. Like, I thought that was pretty
the
cool.
Beast. Yeah.
Like anything else, AJ Styles versus Baron Corbin was pretty good. What are you thinking about
That's pretty
Nakamura
good.
and Ziggler, though?
I don't know. It has, like, I will say that this week actually got me more excited for it. Like, I was kind of like, well, you put him with a worker that's like true blue WWE in Dolph Ziggler to really run him through the ropes and sort of try, crash course, and this is how we do it on the main roster, so on and so forth. That's how we do it at house shows, blah, 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 blah. But I was just kind of, I was thinking of sort of the backstage-ness of it, I guess, the production of it. But this week on SmackDown got me more excited about what was actually happening in the ring, I will say. Even though we still haven't really seen a match with Nakamura on the main roster, I don't necessarily mind that. I like him coming out and everybody singing his theme song, and then he just, says a couple of things or kicks somebody, and that's it. And then I hope that leads to him taking matches extremely seriously once we see him in a big time match. And I think Dolph Ziggler's as good an opponent as any. I think he's not as good an opponent as any. He's one of the better opponents you could have as a guy that needs to be one of your new big stars.
So, better or worse, guy or lower, Nakamura not on TV until it's time to promote his match the week before, and then doing his selected matches, or Nakamura in ring every week doing nothing, but eventually leading to a match in 3 or 4 weeks.
I think he's got the charisma to pull off the second better, like actually showing. But because this is WWE, this is main roster. You have to be on TV every freaking week. So I will take someone being on TV but not being in a match over seeing the match 3 times before we have the pay-per-view match. I'll take that.
Okay. At least it's not Nakamura.
That's my spin.
This is not Nakamura and Ty Dillinger versus Dolph and whoever else.
Yeah, it's not multiple permutations of a tag match that has the competitors in it, and then they have an actual match and it gets cut short by shenanigans or whatever, and then they have the real match, and then maybe it gets cut short by shenanigans, so it continues to all this, just seeing it over and over. I'll take some talky segments and some kicky in the heady segments and stuff like that. I'll take it.
Anything else on SmackDown?
So talking smack, because you probably missed it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you've seen, but there is but Baron Corbin has been fined and suspended for a week for pushing and this is one of those. I don't know how kayfabe it is, but they're using it in a kayfabe capacity. So Corbin beat up on Sami Zayn on Talking Smack to end the show, and at one point, one of the refs, I think it was Eddie. No, it may have been Danilo. Put his hand on Corbin's shoulder. Corbin grabs him and throws him like across the room. And you can see in Corbin's eyes, oh crap! I think I just hurt him. Like you can see, like he stays in what he's supposed to, but you can see on his face, I think I just hurt this guy. Like I think I just screwed up. And I'm not sure if this is they're just kayfabing it because it actually looked pretty bad, or if they really did suspend him and. For being a little reckless, and they're just making it part of the story. Either way, it works. It works for the story. But that was interesting. Another interesting thing that happened on Talking Smack, Becky Lynch, who was surprisingly absent from Smackdown this week with everything else that had gone on. Well, I guess she had her interview in the welcoming committee, sort of got in her face or whatever. But they had her on the show, and they asked her, hey, normally you're the one getting beat down, and nobody comes to help to your aid, but we kind of expected maybe you would come to at least Naomi's aid when the other ladies showed up. And she said, being the one who everybody turns on, just sort of referencing who her character has been since she's been in WWE, being the one that's always left there has made me a more fierce competitor. Like she had an amazing answer, like amazing answer to that question, because it was a valid criticism of her character. Why would you not be the hero you always are? And she essentially said, it's built character and built toughness in me. And so I'm going to let it be the same for them. That's the short version of her answer, but it was fantastic. And it was really like, it shows how good she really is, that she's able to pull off stuff like that on a show that's largely, as far as we can tell, unscripted and Talking Smack. So it was good. So Talking Smack was pretty good and developed some stuff, and even maybe had some actual real consequences to it that they're figuring into the show as well. So we'll see if Corbin actually shows up on TV next week. I suspect they'll talk about him being suspended. For
right.
Sure.
I mean, I just went through all the as you were talking, I went through all the notification stuff that I would get if stuff was, legit. And I never even saw a mention of Corbin suspended or anything. So it's probably storyline only. Still
works because, it still works because it was actually pretty brutal, and you could see on Corbin's face that he knew he made a mistake.
Right. So
it was funny.
I'm a little bit disappointed in NXT this week.
Okay.
But I want you to guess why.
I got nothing. I don't know.
You were supposed to say, because Tyler Bate fought Jack Gallagher, and it wasn't really an NXT match. And I was supposed to say no.
That was supposed to be the swerve, right?
Because Aleister Black and Kona Reeves didn't do the comedy spot.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point. The one I told you about?
Yeah, so apparently Kona Reeves and Aleister Black to do a little comedy on the road kind of thing. And as soon as Kona Reeves came to the ring, I'm like, man, wouldn't this be great if Aleister Black was his opponent? Because I don't think they announced it prior to that Aleister Black was going to be on the show or coming up next or anything like that. If they did, I missed it, but it didn't matter. Aleister Black gets in the ring, and the Kona Reeves could take a kick to the head. I guess that's the best. Like his reactions,
he took some nasty bumps at the live. He and who was the other person I said? Who was the other guy? I forget. It was Almas. He and Almas took some of the nastiest bumps of the night when I went to NXT Live. So anyway, sorry.
So every time Kona Reeves got kicked in the head by Aleister Black, like all I can get reminded of was like Super Macho Man getting knocked out in Mike Tyson's Punch Out, where he does that little spinny, like chin up, kind of spin around look.
Yeah. I
And
got you.
yeah, it was pretty fun. The replay was even funnier. And I like any NXT that features like 50% Nikki Cross. And I think his stuff with Ruby Riott, even though it's kind of like jump started from nowhere and wasn't really explained, except that they have a past.
haven't really. Yeah, they have a past is all we're getting, and I wish we could get a little more of that past. I mean, just you don't have to call her. I know she's not going to be wearing red, but you don't have to call her Heidi Lovelace to show some of their past. I mean, I don't get it. So.
And I don't even know if they have a past together. Just they worked.
Oh, good point.
Some of the same, some of the same promotions, Shine and Shimmer and the like. But yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's cool. I think it's really good, and I think NXT has that shift of focus every week, and that's why I like it. Because nothing gets stale, nothing gets old, nothing gets tiresome. Sam Almas seems to be a workhorse, though. He seems to be on every show, but that's not a bad thing because he is entertaining. And then I did notice they did the whole, hey, you lost your match, but I'm gonna go just chill out.
I'm just gonna go party.
Yeah. kind of thing. So they are leaning to that. I never like this was lost on me because I never really knew that Del Rio had that lifestyle or attitude about him outside of wrestling, but
and it may not be it may not be a direct link to that, but it just kind of comes across as that way, especially because Del Rio had actually made some comments about Almas not being happy and wanting to go back under, not wanting to lose his mask and wanting to go back under it and blah, blah, blah,
I think
blah,
every
blah.
Mexican made that comment.
Mexican,
like seriously, I think was it Quinones? I don't know. Quinones might not be alive anymore, but whoever the booker is, Pena, one of them, made that analogy. Like, we told this guy not to go there. He's going to get lost in the shuffle, blah, blah, blah. And,
he's not.
He's really not. He's like right out there, right in the forefront. Listen, they also gave a great look at Trent Seven, Mandrews, Pete Dunne, and the other guy. What's it? Hanson? No, not Hanson. What's his name? The big guy. The UK guy. I had his name last week when I watched the show, but this is the first time I heard them actually reference.
I lost it.
Actually referenced the WWE UK weekly show.
Yeah, right.
And then they said premiering soon. And they said weekly, so that's going to be. I guess that's going to be a thing. I don't know, what night do you think would be. Would you think they'll do it like right after NXT and make a 2-hour block? Or you think they'll spread it out to like Thursday or Friday?
I mean, if they did that, then that pushes. Wait, no, I'm getting that confused.
I always get 205
Live
confused as well because for some reason I feel like 205 Live comes on after NXT.
I know, even though it doesn't. Right?
No.
I think it's because that's when I typically watch it.
Yeah.
I don't typically watch it after SmackDown. I watch it after I watch NXT. But anyway, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they'll just do it on a different night. Maybe they'll do it on Thursdays and see if they can.
See, I'm trying to think if I'd want it on a different night or if I just want to get it over with and make a 2-hour wrestling block on Wednesday and still have Thursday for free. Or
that would make a lot of sense, actually. That would make a lot of sense.
They probably want to spread it out and have.
There is the idea of or there something to consider. I'm not saying this very well, but is. When is competition playing in the UK, and do they want to directly compete with them? So when is Impact airing in the UK, and do they want to? Because
so they're going to have to show things at 3 or 4 in the afternoon just to counter that. I mean, they can have can't they just do programming differently for the stream in the UK than it is United States? I don't think it's like one schedule for everybody. They could probably stagger it.
They could probably show it. It could probably be live in the UK first, or not live, quote unquote, but
first run in the UK first.
Yeah, first run in the UK. Yeah,
Wolfgang,
and then they
by the way.
go. Yeah, there you go. And then they go head to head with whatever the competition is there, which could be. I mean, that would be interesting. I think that helps wrestling to go to a hot market like the UK and and WWE start competing with the competition. So,
right, because there are areas in the universe.
Hopefully, it helps wrestling. Impact hasn't shown that they know how to do anything other than say, "Hey, we're not WWE, but we got a bunch of WWE guys in the back. Check us out." That's kind of what their story's been so far,
Impact,
which is not the best.
They have a good hold and a good network, as far as I know, in the UK. I think they're on Spike in the UK, and they're on Fox Sports in India. So in those two areas, they got a good market. They just, they can't do anything right now in the United States. And there was even backstage stuff at the last Impact tapings where Bob Ryder, like a longtime TNA backstage guy, had it out with Karen and Jeff Jarrett over like hotel bookings or something. And he was kicked out of the taping, and then there was parking lot shouting matches and everything. It's like, man, but like
more money stuff.
It's like, why can't, like, when there are problems, how come there's always problems about everything? Like, why can't anything just be reset and be like, hey, we're just not going to do this stuff anymore? No, instead we're going to sue the Hardys. We're going to have backstage fights. We're going to...
Yeah.
That's a great way to get on track, even though...
Speaking...
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
I'm sorry. I interrupted.
No, that was it.
Okay, well, you said on track, and I was going to use it as a counter segue. In other words, go backward. I will say, Ruby Riott, I want to go back to that just real quick. I noticed this at the live show I was at, and I've just noticed this anytime she's been on TV. She has an amazing charisma about her for someone that's not the prototype look for WWE. I really like her. I feel like she has a charisma in spades. So anyway, that's all the backtracking I'll do.
Yeah, I was trying to get like a little bit of, because I knew her and I forgot what the girl's name is. She used to dress up like a furry, and they were like tag team partners and champions and other federations. I kind of never really got Heidi Lovelace as a wrestler, and I really could never figure it out, whether it's the tattoos not matching her attitude or the hair, or like there was just something about her. I think it was visually, but not in like the sexist way. Just something a little bit off about how she presented herself and how she acted at the same time. And I could never really get it. It was almost like Nigel McGuinness back in Ring of Honor, where he'd come out like all punk. But like he was such a technical wrestler, like he just never really seemed to be like, not like CM Punk, but punk like, underground hardcore music.
No, I got you.
Yeah. It just never seemed like that worked.
You kind of expect him to be a brawler or something like that.
Yeah, and he was like such a good scientific technical wrestler. I'm just like, it's just it's TJ Perkins with the 8-bit music and him just not really having a personality at the same time back when it first debuted, kind of stuff. But yeah, it's just NXT is just, it's just so cool of a show, man. I can never say, I always look forward to it, and it doesn't matter who comes out for the matches, except a little bit when it's not, has nothing to do with NXT. But
I really need to see the experience very soon, though. I really need the Patrick Clark experience on my television very soon. I really do. That's all I'll say.
I was thinking about that, and I think what's going to happen is he's going to cycle in after the next takeover, or the Patrick Clark experience is going to be like that debut match at this takeover. Let's forget he was ever in NXT, but like Ember Moon debuted and Aleister Black debuted, and so many other people before them. Takeover always seems to have that like first time person match. Patrick Clark might have that match in this takeover, where in the coming weeks we might get a couple promos that just says the Patrick Clark experience coming. And then
I would love that. He is unbelievably good. He is so, and I'm not just talking about character work. His in-ring work is amazing too. He is really, really, really good.
There were very few people they've trotted out on TV where they actually gave them a name and a story and the win that have not been very good. And like Steve Cutler might be one of those, and Dawkins might be another one where like they just never clicked. But anybody else has always come out with something.
I've seen since you keep getting me on other things, but I know we need to move on. But Steve Cutler, you mentioned him. I've seen pictures of him tagging with Wesley Blake, and they've got a new. And
That's right.
Wesley
Blake and Murphy used to be a thing, right?
Yeah, and we haven't seen Buddy Murphy in forever, and that makes me sad. But
they've always tried to re-debut Blake as Hanson. Was it Handsome?
Beautiful Blake.
They should really just put Blake and Murphy back. When TM61 went down, they should have really just put Blake and Murphy back together and be like, sorry, not sorry. Let's just ignore them splitting up, and there they are.
I think they really do want to push Buddy Murphy as a singles wrestler, but then they had all these new guys come in, and you can't not. I mean, you got to strike while the iron is hot with some of these guys, especially with Tommy End, Aleister Black, and stuff like that. So yeah,
internet buzz, and just listen, high profile.
You got to roll with it.
And all that. Hey, you want a couple of? Let's move on to Raw here a little bit.
Yeah, we got to go. Yep.
But how about a little bit of a couple of asides here? How Vince McMahon was this is a Jeff Hardy story, I think, or Matt Hardy story. Vince McMahon relayed a message or called the Young Bucks before Supercard of Honor and told them to be gentle on the Hardy Boys.
Really?
I need them. That's a story. That's a report. Yeah. Along the same lines of the report, like they're making Kevin Owens wear a suit because they're not happy about his physique, and they may make him wrestle in a suit. Like I don't know if I believe that one, but listen, if it happens, then there's that report. We've said it, but it's funny. He's like I need him. Please take care. Please go easy on him. I need him. That's pretty funny.
I have a feeling that the Young Bucks have had plenty of talks with WWE at this point because they're so entertaining and they make so much money outside the ring that you got to see dollar signs with those guys, even if they're not necessarily totally your style of things. And I suspect that they have some decent rapport, at least, with a lot of people behind the scenes at WWE. People like, probably Brian James, Road Dogg, and people like that. I suspect, and you see, like, you get Twitter notifications of people liking things that they say, and it's lots of WWE people. It always shows up on my timeline. Like, I follow both of them anyway, but I'll see, Ty Dillinger liked, or Brian James liked, or I'll see all these WWE people, the Revival, Scott Dawson liked, and stuff like that. So I suspect that they could show up at any time in WWE, but it's just everything's gotta be right for them. So
were there not reports of when AJ Styles in the club, Anderson Gallows signed? Were there not like Bad Luck Fale or Fail and Tama Tonga? Weren't they like also going to be coming over?
There was that rumor, yes, definitely.
So it was. But, I forgot all about that. Like,
and then there was Kenny Omega going into this year, of course.
That was a long.
But that was definitely Kenny letting everybody work themselves. So.
Yeah. That was. He still had a story in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and they were making it seem like So. All right, real quick on Raw, and I always like to ask this question because it always sets up the pay-per-view recap. Anything happen on Raw to make you more interested or disinterested in anything that's going to be happening at the pay-per-view coming up?
I liked, and it's one of those things. It doesn't make me disinterested. I like what they did, but it makes me apprehensive. I like what they did with Strowman, having him lose and then destroy Kalisto.
They did the dumpster spot. They're doing every spot that they've done in the Attitude Era right now with Strowman. Right. Flipping over gurneys, dumpsters, and then
they're doing everything except for having people bleed, but they're doing everything to make him look like just a superstar. But back to my original apprehension on this, I feel like it's, and you've echoed it as well, I feel like it's just to set up, look what Roman overcame, and it's just
ultimate underdog.
The ultimate underdog that looks like a model and is one of the biggest guys on the roster and has, strong family ties to the business, and this ultimate underdog that isn't an underdog in any stretch of the imagination, except in all the shoehorn situations they write him into. I mean, he's Superman. He's Superman. He's the guy that can't be beat, but you just keep putting all this drama around him, and maybe eventually people will just start believing he can be beat. When ultimately he never gets beat. He can die and come back to life. I'm talking about Superman, of course. So it's which, I mean, they've basically killed Roman off of Raw, but he's going to come back. He's going to have his triumphant return. So it's just I don't hate Roman, but I just hate how they book him. I really do. And I feel like this is going to be, if Strowman doesn't come out of this as like looking more like a monster, then I don't know. I don't know what you're doing anymore, because you're building a guy to be the star that you wanted in Roman Reigns, but he doesn't look quite as pretty. And so I strongly suspect and am extremely apprehensive of the fact that this is just going to be more of Roman's story overcoming the greatest odds possible. So, yeah, I liked Strowman's showing just pretty much like every time I've seen him recently, but I didn't really like the implications of it, I guess.
For me, there were a couple things that were on the I'm over it already scale of the spectrum. Do we need Sasha Banks interrupting every single women's promo, whether it's coming out of a pay-per-view or leading up to a pay-per-view? Could there never be a match involving two women that's not Sasha Banks, that doesn't include a promo by Sasha Banks interjecting herself in the story? And I understand there's a bigger picture, blah blah blah, heel turn, whatever. But I'm like, every single time there are two women out there with a microphone on Raw, here comes Sasha. Like, it's happening.
For all the talk that she wasn't getting over with Vince, she sure does get a lot of screen time.
and like, I can't stand that. And the other thing is, and I don't know if this happened on Smackdown. Remember I said I didn't watch most of Smackdown, and I'll tell you why. And then I told you about how much of Smackdown I liked.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember where this was, and I think it was on. I think there was a segment on each of the show. But Bray Wyatt on my screen with a light bulb on the Titantron instantly makes me channel surf. I am done with the whole mind games, meaningless promo, kind of dark attitude. Just, he's the eater of worlds, and his biggest thing is he can do a bridge. And he can project worms onto a mat from a projector 60 feet above the ring.
He's the eater of pins, is what he is. He's the eater of pins.
There's nothing he can do right now, and this is WWE's fault, that makes me care. And this even is highlighted by the fact that he was the guy to be the Miz's partner, or just interjected himself in the match or whatever at the end. And it looks like they're going to do Wyatt versus Ambrose. Well, if they have a number one contender in Jinder Mahal on SmackDown that's going to fight Randy Orton, I don't even know if the Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton match, I don't even think is a title match, is it not? It's probably just a whatever they're going to call a House of Horrors match. I don't even think it has a title implication. But
yeah, they haven't really said that, have they?
No, that's because weird. They would have made a big deal about Raw getting a title.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Whereas in the other one, they made it known that whoever has the championship or the U.S. title is going to go to SmackDown, so SmackDown can keep that title. So I think the match is I think it's just not for the title, and probably best it's not. But it's also a match that doesn't seem to have a point right now.
Yeah, best it's not, but at the same time, you're going to have a pay-per-view. Well, okay, hang on. No. Okay, from a booking / show standpoint, it makes sense for it to be non-title, because then what do you do? Well, it's a Raw pay-per-view. So does that mean now Raw gets the world and...
Well, that's what I'm saying. If Bray Wyatt's on Raw and
exactly.
he would have won, he would have had the title. So they would have made a big deal about it if it was a
right. Yeah, that's
match.
A good point. That's a good point.
So that's one of the downsides.
But it's almost playing up that Randy is definitely winning. Like, not that we expect anything else, but it pretty much completely dictates the ending of the match.
And I guarantee it's a match I'm not really going to watch. Because
Sure.
it's just going to be more of projector on the ring and like House of Horrors. What is it going to be? A lot of mirrors? Randy doesn't know where Bray Wyatt is. Lots of lights going out, and here's Eric Rowan
and Bray Wyatt laughing a lot.
Yeah, and doing a bridge,
which Stone Cold really hates the laughing. He's really over the laughing.
He does a bridge. How does this freak people out? I don't understand.
I don't know. Kick him in the face.
Speaking of kicking, how about kick off?
Yeah, what we got?
Enzo, Big Cass versus the Club. Who wins? Why? And what does it mean for the title picture?
Seems that would mean nothing, no matter what. I really feel like it really feels like they're slow playing it, but it feels like they're playing Cass is going to turn on Enzo. I really feel like it's coming. I don't think it's here. I don't think it's Payback, but it really feels like it's coming because every time they lose a match, it's 100% totally Enzo's fault, and everyone acknowledges it. I mean, no one like drives it home, but it feels like it's this really slow, subtle play, and I like it. I like the storytelling, the long play aspect of it, but I feel like maybe this just factors into that a little more.
I can agree. I feel like it's going to happen. It fits the WWE moniker of Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo, except Scooby-Doo's a huge giant, Scrappy-Doo's a huge underdog, and they always turn on each other. It's Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty is really what it is.
I still think it should be actually. I still think they should really mess with people, and Enzo should be the one to turn on Cass, even though it's Enzo's fault all the time.
But also at the same time, you see the merch. So
yeah, it's true.
The dollar signs might dictate that the part of the story you're right about is it's not happening yet, but we'll keep it on everyone's mind. So I think the Club's going to win, and I think that Enzo is going to be the scapegoat yet again. How about this for a kickoff match?
But it is a great way to kick off the pay-per-view, though, with the promo, the big promo. Get everybody into the match.
Miz versus Finn Balor. Rumblings are no one's really happy with Finn Balor for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, he's not getting the reaction that the Office wanted him to get, I guess, is the thing when he's reemerged, and the concussion has slowed things down and stuff. And it's one of those, take it what you will kind of Meltzer rumors. I don't even know if it came from Meltzer, like that has a 60% probability of being true, whether it's true or not. But Finn Balor in a kickoff match versus The Miz just seems like it's odd, but at the same time, I feel like they're just inserting Balor into the picture, into the card, just so Balor is on the card and people still, see him. And he's on everyone's mind kind of thing. So I expect a typical Miz loss here, where he'll try to cheat, won't be successful, and then Balor will eventually win.
Yeah, and I'm really surprised by this in a lot of ways, because I thought the story was Dean Ambrose versus Miz. I don't understand. I don't understand. The story is Dean Ambrose and the Miz.
And Dean Ambrose
Raw opened with Dean Ambrose and the Miz. I don't understand. What? How does this factor into anything? I don't get it. I don't get it. But it's probably what you said. Everybody loves Finn Balor, except I guess maybe somebody in the back. But I don't know what that's about.
It just doesn't make sense because Ambrose has the IC title, and then we're featuring the US title. And again, anything can happen kind of stuff is really what they're playing off. We had this match and we lost the superstar because anything can happen in a superstar shakeup. But it just Ambrose is not on the card, and that would mean Ambrose hasn't been on a pay-per-view, barring the WrestleMania one in 4 months. Whenever the last time SmackDown had a pay-per-view, and that was probably Elimination Chamber.
I wonder if he's injured.
He worked a pretty long match to be injured.
Yeah, that's a good
He
point.
does a lot of DDTs, kind of stuff. But
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, well, I'll say Finn Balor, and I'm sure you're assuming the same here.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right. U.S. title. Let's talk. Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho, and of course
Kevin
Jericho
Owens
is going
is
on
winning.
tour. Winner goes to SmackDown, but Chris Jericho is going on tour, so he's going to lose every match and not be seen again for the last 2 months. You don't really know, but except for the fact that Kevin Owens is already on the other show.
Yeah, he's already on the other show, which seems like they played their hand completely wrong. Like, it seems like I don't know. It seems like they could have done this a different way. I liked that Kevin Owens was just trying to get away from Raw, and because he had beaten everybody essentially, and then Sami Zayn shows up.
Mm-hmm.
I still like that, even though it feels like they play it out a little too much. But I liked the idea of no matter what, you're not going to get away from Sami Zayn. He's always going to be there. So I suspect Owens wins, although I still think it would be amazing to see shots of Chris Jericho singing with Fozzy wearing the U.S. title. I still think that would be amazing.
And why not? You already have a champion on Raw who's never on TV. So
Yeah,
why
he
can't you
never
have
shows up.
a champion on SmackDown who's never on TV anyway, as well?
Yeah.
So
I mean, many people would argue that elevates the Universal title, it never being on TV, never being defended except at big pay-per-views. Well, then
that worked in the Hogan day.
Yeah, couldn't the same be said about the U.S. title at that point? But anyway,
I mean, it worked more.
I still expect Kevin Owens to win.
Okay. Neville versus Austin Aries here for the Cruiserweight title, and I'm looking forward to this match, and I hope it's as good as a WrestleMania, and I'll go with Aries finally getting this one.
Me too. Yeah.
Except for the fact that I think it's going to be Neville, and they'll do a third match.
Yeah, it could very well be, because they're completely carrying the division, and they're making everyone better in the process. I mean, you've got Neville's advocate in T.J. Perkins that has come into his own and is having fantastic matches, and now he's got attitude and charisma to him, other than a stupid dab and nothing else. Yeah, and Neville and Gentleman Jack this past week was fantastic. It was they even did a fighting spirit spot, like a Japan spot. It was amazing. Did you see it, by the way, or
no,
did you?
Not.
Did you? Okay, so I hate to give it away, but I got to, because it was hilarious and great. Gallagher lands an amazing drop kick on Neville right in the middle of the ring instead of in the turnbuckle like he normally does, and Neville hits his shoulders, kips up, and says, not today, Jack. And Gallagher headbutts him right in the face. It was unbelievably good. It was really, really, really good. It was the whole match was great, but that spot was fantastic, and it was so Japan. So it's interesting to see them go that route, and it almost felt like a match that Neville put together 100%, and the back office had nothing to do with it, because it seemed very Japan. So, which isn't something we really see in WWE. So that's it. That was interesting to me. It was a great match, but yeah, it's making everyone better. Neville is making everyone better as the champ, and I don't know if him chasing is going to accomplish the same thing. So it could very well be Neville coming out of this, but I'm going to pick Aries too.
Okay, I think I'm going to switch my pick to Neville, and then there go for a third match, because I just don't know.
Fair enough.
I just don't know who else is next to step up if it's not them two, because they're trying to push Ali. They were trying to push Nice early on, and just nothing,
but it's just not there yet.
No Amdar, just nothing's there. Yeah, Hardys versus Sheamus and Cesaro. I kind of feel like this is a title going back to Sheamus and Cesaro situation with, and here it is, and we should have like a little bit of a little fanfare for this. The heel turn of the night is going to be, after all that gentleman sportsmanship stuff, I think Cesaro is just going to snap, and Sheamus is just going to run with it, and they're going to do a little villainous deed here to win the titles back from the Hardys.
Well, it looked like Cesaro was on the verge of that. So, and WWE is not known for being very subtle, except with the Enzo and Cass thing. So maybe that's what they were. Maybe that's the telegraph we were getting, is that it's going to be Cesaro who goes dark side, but they're going to win the titles in the process, and then Sheamus is going to be more on the side of. I mean, yeah, we get the titles back, but I don't know if that's how. Like, I don't feel like the Hardys deserved that kind of loss, you know. So it's.
But going to your point, the Hardys won both those matches before the pay-per-view, which means that's Sheamus and Cesaro going to win the pay-per-view match now.
Yeah, I know, but which I hate that it's that it comes across that predictable so often. Right. But
and broken Matt Hardy's probably kind of on the way after legal issues get sorted and whatever.
Well, and you could have Sheamus brogue kick him into he could broken kick him. Sorry, but yeah, I think I really love Sheamus's character. Like, I think there's so many layers to what he's doing right now, and it's, I'm sure, very, very underappreciated by a lot of people, and under recognized by a lot, or unrecognized by a lot of people. But I think there are a lot of layers to what he's doing right now, and I dig it.
Yeah, I like them better on a cohesive unit than being the always at each other's throat thing. And in the match, I don't really care about. Randy Orton beats Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, move on. I don't care either.
Yeah,
we've already called that.
The only thing I care about in this match is if anything happens where Bray Wyatt assembles a new family on the Raw roster, where somebody on the roster we've not heard about maybe recently, and I don't have a name in mind. He just shows up and then, hey, he's on the Wyatt side, and we're good to go for another rehash of whatever he's done thereafter. So we'll go with that. And the women's title, Bayley versus Alexa Bliss. It's hard for me to picture this title leaving Bayley's shoulders if it's not as a result or directly to Sasha Banks. And again, Sasha's been very vocal in every single thing Bayley has ever done since she's had the title. So maybe this is where we get that kind of friction. Sasha tries to help Bayley. It backfires. Alexa wins the title. But I really feel like SummerSlam is Bayley versus Sasha. So unless they flip-flop it, I'm going to go with Bayley for this one.
You make a lot of good points, but man, if Alexa Bliss doesn't have the golden touch, so I'm gonna pick Alexa for no other reason than the fact that she just tends to win these types of matches. So
TP Poker brings up a good point here. Sanity arrives and now is on the Wyatt side. Man,
I know. I really like that idea.
That would be really good. Yeah, I'm sorry. Who'd you pick for this match?
I picked.
He also said
picked
something
Alexa.
else I was thinking about.
I picked Alexa.
Okay.
But yeah, he said something else that we're not going to mention on the show. But yeah, Sanity. I want to go back to that. I think it would be great if Sanity showed up and then Bray followed Eric. Bray just lost his cult leader card.
Eric demands he put on the jacket.
And Eric Young becomes the cult leader.
I mean, listen, why not?
That we all wanted.
Why not? Bray tried the leader troop, and WWE's offices, it felt like it never worked, so they couldn't make it really. They never really made it work. So why not change it up a little bit? I feel like that's why they put Orton in there, but then they quickly dissolved that.
Yeah, they got over it for some reason.
Speaking of guys,
it seemed like everybody was enjoying it, including the guys involved. I don't understand.
Speaking of guy who just doesn't seem like he has a place, yet he's on the roster. Samoa Joe versus Seth Rollins. Rollins off the victory against Triple H. What is Rollins, like, what height is there for him right now where he's just beaten the number one contender, like, let's say, like a boxer beating the number one contender, but instead of going to the championship match, now he's going to the number two contender kind of deal. He's like downgrading his ultimate victory against the guy who kind of started it all, in a sense, or just, you know, was the catalyst for it. Like, do you expect Samoa Joe to win this match, or is this just another notch on the resume of Seth Rollins for whenever they want to call on him for a title match?
I don't feel like that I don't feel like this ends their feud, so I would see Joe winning this. I actually do see Joe winning this to continue this to keep Rollins in something that's significant and to keep Joe elevated as the newcomer to the roster. I mean, he wasn't on the show. He wasn't on WrestleMania.
Yeah,
so
that was
you got it. You do have to build. You do need to keep building him up, in my opinion, and he needs to. I feel like he needs this win way more than Rollins does. But
yeah,
you're right.
I just
it
think
is odd.
Yeah, Rollins is going to get this win. I think just because he's the guy on the back burner for a Brock Lesnar fight, or when they have Roman Reigns beat Rock. Listen, I think Brock Lesnar's holding this title for like a year. Honestly, I think he's losing it at WrestleMania to Roman Reigns. Is the way, like, in my mind, things are working. But if you ever need like a intercontinental title, a champion, you know, Ambrose losing it to Bray Wyatt, Seth Rollins fighting Bray Wyatt, kind of stuff. I think for matchmaking purposes, Seth Rollins with a higher contendership seed makes more sense than the heel going over right now, because the heel could always just do anything he wants to win a match.
What if the plan is Samoa Joe versus Brock?
What if the plan is for Steve Blackman to come out with nunchucks and a freshly trimmed beard?
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I also like Samoa Joe versus Brock better, though.
Listen, I mean, fans never get what they want, right? So
fair enough.
So that won't be. And speaking of fans will never get what they want, the main event, Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns, and I put this in the main event with no title, because Roman Reigns was actually the main event of WrestleMania against a guy who couldn't carry a match. Because Roman Reigns. And overcoming odds here, Roman Reigns with 18 broken ribs and herniated discs and separated shoulder will find the way to beat Braun Strowman here.
Roman Reigns grew ribs so he could break them.
He had ribs donated to him.
He had ribs donated that could then be broken so he could have more broken ribs than you have in your body. He's going to overcome that, though.
Roman Reigns
wins. Those are some mighty tough odds you got there. It'd be a shame if someone broke or someone overcame them. So anyway, yeah, I suspect he wins.
Roman versus Brock at SummerSlam.
I'm totally on board with Reigns. How about this? I'm totally on board with Reigns winning if it's the Reigns that I described 2 weeks ago. If it's a broken, and I don't mean in the Matt Hardy way, but if it's a messed up, coming out with a freaking mask and totally different gear Roman Reigns, but that won't be what it is. It won't be what it is. But if it's that Roman Reigns, have him win every freaking thing. Have him win matches he's not in. If it's that Roman Reigns, seriously, I'm that on board. If they will change something about him in a significant way. So yeah, I prefer he wrestles Bray Wyatt so I can skip them both at the same time. It's basically like my understanding of it. I really like Roman Reigns. Like, that's the thing, is I like him, but man, they've got to do something different. And he doesn't have to be a heel. Make him a monster. Make him a guy that to overcome this monster, he becomes a monster. Yeah. It makes sense. And we haven't seen him on TV, and he got completely demolished 3 weeks ago. Make him the monster that make the story that he had to become a monster to overcome the mountain of a man, Braun Strowman. By the way, Braun Strowman has been fantastic. With Brock Lesnar as your champion and Dean Ambrose as your Intercontinental Champion with hints of The Miz and Bray Wyatt, I just don't know where Braun Strowman goes with a win. But Roman Reigns with a win is in the same situation as Seth Rollins, where he's still a guy who could contend for a title and stuff like that. They already telegraphed it, though, with the Heyman Lesnar promo and Strowman coming out. They already essentially said Strowman is going to beat up Roman Reigns. I mean, he said you'll get Roman Reigns when I'm done with him. So they already told you that Roman is going to a title match after this. So you're right. That I will say that doesn't mean he has to win, but it makes more sense that he wins at that point. I'm going to do the unthinkable and pick Braun Strowman.
And I'm going to do the unthinkable and not have a corny way to end the show.
So you want me to just end it?
Yeah. I got
All right, here we go. Good
ahead.
morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is for you. I'm the Duke. He's the Larry. Have a great night.
insert headset throw here. I'll add that in post.
Okay.